Hello Savvy Expats! Today we're going to talk about 8 advice for your first time travel here in the Philippines. This is going to be helpful for those who are looking for practical tips in going here. For travelers who have been to the Philippines before, this is also for you, especially if you want an insider tip to make your travel hassle-free. So without further ado, let's dive into the list. Traveling in the Philippines can be fun, exciting, and downright memorable. There are so many things to try, places to see, and food to eat. But this doesn't mean you're not going to experience any issues in the country. From minor inconveniences to crazy complications, travelers have a fair share of these encounters. And I'm sure that in visiting the Philippines, you'd want your stay to be as relaxing and fun as possible. After all, you're visiting a tropical paradise in Asia. So my number one tip for you guys is to bring an adapter that suits the major power outlets here in the country. The most common plug types in the Philippines are Type A and Type B. Type A has 2 flat parallel pins, while Type B also has 2 flat parallel pins and a grounding pin. Some hotels also have Type C outlets, but majority of the outlets here in the Philippines are Type A and Type B. Personally, this has been one of the minor inconveniences I myself experienced when traveling abroad, so I'm sure that our travelers here experience the same thing. Also, if you think that you don't have suitable adapters, you can easily buy them in hardware stores, malls, or even supermarkets. Some hotels also let you borrow adapters if you ask for it at the front desk. Number 2 tip is to bring only what you need. I know that backpacking around the country is a fun idea and it's easy to stay wherever you want if you have your pack with you. But if you're already booked in a place and want to go sightseeing, then I suggest that you only take what you need. For men, this could mean your phone, identification card, wallet, keys, and sunglasses, which can all fit in a small bag. While for women, you can also bring all those things plus other items like makeup and hair tie for freshening up. I suggest this especially if you want to travel by commuting or if you're going to crowded places. It's a good precaution for safety since crowded places are bound with pickpockets and snatchers. It's also practical because there's a lot of walking and commuting involved. Third is to bring coins. Whether you plan to take the jeepney, tricycle, taxis, or book a vehicle through ride-hailing apps, it's important to bring coins if you don't want to get shortchanged. There are a lot of times that I experienced issues with this because rides don't have enough sukle or coins for change. This doesn't just apply to rides but also in stores. If you're planning on going to Divisoria, Quiapo, or bazaars, having spare coins is a good practice for you. Also, vending machines such as the LRT, MRT ticket machines, and the ones in restrooms use coins, so it's less hassle if you have them with you everywhere you go. But where can you get your bills changed, you ask? Some hotels offer to exchange your bills for coins, and small stores even allow you to swap them happily. So there's not much problem if you want to practice this advice because it's easy to do and follow. Fourth is haggling. If you're going to well-known bazaars and markets such as Quiapo, Divisoria, Taytay's, Ukay-Ukays, you won't only need coins but also the skill of haggling. When asking for the price, most of the time sellers won't give you the original rate. A lot of times it's inflated, so it's helpful to think that the first price isn't the last price. So how do you haggle? Well, I'm not an expert haggler myself, but one thing my mom and grandma taught me is to have a base price in mind when bargaining. So if you're given a price of 300 pesos and you think it's too much, you can ask for a bargaining price of 230 until you and the seller reach a compromise of 250 pesos, which is your target price. This is also where your coins will come in handy because you can't give the seller 300 pesos when you just bargained with them for 250. So paying for your purchase with the exact amount is a must for haggling. Or if you have Filipino friends, you can ask for them to haggle for you, especially if they're good at it since they know more about the Filipino market. Up next is commuting. Commuting is a part of the Filipino life. If you're going to work, the mall, or just doing your errands, most of the time you're going to take a public transportation to get to your destination. It's not really a bad experience to commute in the Philippines, especially if you're used to getting around the place. But still, some advice would be good for our savvy expats traveling here. For commuting, you can take the tricycle, jeepney, bus, taxi, or the train, depending on where you're headed. If it's somewhere near, you can take the tricycle or jeepney. But farther destinations would be better taken with a taxi, a bus, or a train. For others who don't want to experience the hassle of hailing rides, you can book your travel through mobile apps like Grab, Auto, or Angkas. Grab and Auto are ride-hailing apps that employ private cars and taxis, while Angkas employs motorcycles for travel. Angkas is a relatively new addition to our ride-hailing apps, and it's very practical and convenient for those who want to travel for half the price of Grab or Auto. It's important to remember that the Philippines, especially Metro Manila, is heavily congested, so planning your rides using these tips can be helpful. Sixth on the list is something unique for our savvy expats planning to take a trip to Manila. They say that all roads lead to Quiapo. So if you're lost, just go to Quiapo and you can see public transportation vehicles going to different places. Whether that's to Las Piñas in the south, Alabang, Bulacan in the north, Quezon City, or Ortigas, you can get back to your destination. I've tried this before. Well, I didn't intend to get lost, but I got down in Quiapo and made my way back to Quezon City. So if you're in Manila and you're lost in some place, you can ask where Quiapo is. From there, you can get home. For number 7, my advice is to travel early, especially during the holidays. The holiday season is a time for Filipinos to go on vacations, especially if it's a long weekend. You'll have heavy traffic in major highways and also in expressways like SLEX or NLEX. Whether you want to travel in places like Baguio, Bulacan, Cebu, or Davao, the best thing to do if you're traveling far is to go as early as 6 a.m. My family does this every year when traveling by car because we always expect to experience traffic, especially after 8 a.m. So whether you're traveling via major highways or small town roads, you'll want to get up early if you want to be there for your check-in time. Last is number 8, which is to try the wet market or palengke if you want fresher meat or vegetables. The supermarket is a great place to get your groceries. But if it's fresher options for meat and vegetables you want, then going to wet markets could be a good option for you. Unlike supermarkets, palenques or wet market restock their meat and vegetables almost every day. They have a lot of options from chicken, pork or beef, as well as fresh seafood such as fish, shrimp, crabs, and oysters. What's also good about the wet market is that you can have your choice cuts of meat and you can choose much better options there. The sellers give you an option to choose what you want and also cuts the meat according to your liking. For vegetables, you don't need to buy in bulk, especially if you're cooking for only one person. If you want, you can only buy 1 potato, 1 tomato, or even half a slice of ginger. But before getting carried away and planning your trip to the wet market, my advice is to wear comfortable clothes. Just bring a small bag for your purse or wallet and of course, your coins. Closed shoes are a must if you don't want your feet getting wet. Also, don't wear white shoes or anything light since there are splatters of water at times. That's why we call it the wet market. And so we tackled 8 advice for first-time travelers here in the Philippines. I hope that you'll find this video useful when going here to the country. Did we miss any advice that you want to get discussed? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you agree with this, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. I would love to give you savvy expats more advice and information about traveling and living here in the Philippines. So stay tuned for our next video and I'll see you guys next time.